And just like that, we are live on the internet, following the greatest song written in the history of time, the most beautiful music ever played by humans or machines.
Truly.
A song that has no name because no name is worthy of it. Written by people we'll never know. How you doing, Mr. Speck?
I am great.
Yeah. Are
Well,
you?
I'm doing well. How about that? Doing well.
What's the difference?
I don't know. I feel like if you say you're doing great, like people think that something amazing has happened in your life, and So if I'm doing well, I'm like, yeah, I'm I'm to use a biology term, I'm carrying on homeostasis. So
Is I typically respond with I'm fantastic, which sometimes people are like, well, why? And I'm like, I don't know, because I'm not dead, I guess. Um, like I just prefer to be fantastic than okay or pretty good.
well, it's funny because if you say okay, it's almost like that almost has like a negative connotation, doesn't it?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm only okay. Well, why are you only okay?
Well,
So, but then the opposite is also true. If you say I'm fantastic
but
or I'm wonderful, people are like, oh, what's going on with you? What's so special? Oh, nothing. I didn't want to just say okay, right? So I don't know. It's almost like you can't win.
so people typically don't question me on it though.
Interesting.
Yeah, I say I'm fantastic, like, oh, and they just move on. How you doing? Fantastic. How you doing? Oh, great.
It's because they don't actually care.
Nobody cares. That's true actually. But I'm doing it for me because I think if I'm repeatedly saying all the time that I'm fantastic, that there's a chance that I will believe it more.
So the old self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah.
That there's some truth to that, psychologically speaking. So
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So maybe I should say that because I try to, like I said, I try to downplay it. In fact, when I was in Disney World, someone asked me, and it's a very common response for me that I guess a lot of people don't know. I will often respond with, people ask how you doing, I'm like, oh, I'm just Ducky. And I had
that sounds sarcastic though.
I guess
It does.
I tend to be sarcastic. So
But like if I said it, someone's like, "How you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm just Ducky." You're like, "Oh, okay. You must I'm doing great."
But there was a girl at the Magic Kingdom, and I said, "I'm just Ducky." She started laughing, and she said, "I've never heard that before." And I said, "I'm surprised by that." But yeah, that's usually what I say when people ask me, "How you doing?" Well, I'm just Ducky. So I don't even know what that means. Like, I guess the connotation is that a duck, that whole, when they say be like a duck and everything rolls off your back, like the water off of a duck's back, maybe that's what that's supposed to represent, but I don't know. I've just used it.
Or maybe it means you're cool, calm, and collected above the water where everybody can see, but you're paddling like hell underneath, like a...
Yeah, that's definitely more like me in real life, so there you go.
Yeah, there you go.
So, yeah. But I'm just Ducky. It seems to work.
I should have asked you this before we started, but should we use this venue to announce anything that we have going on?
I don't know. Should we use it today?
That's what I'm asking. Yeah.
Or
we are so planned and professional.
I know, right?
Look at us.
Yeah.
Look how confident we are. Yeah.
Well, notice my shirt says Top Dad, not Top CEO. So
I mean, Top Dad that's cool though.
Yeah, you like Sam made this for me.
I was gonna ask, and it is very cool.
I love it. It's now my favorite shirt, which my family makes. I told Sam I need multiple of them because I tend to be very. It's just a part of who I am, and like Einstein was like this, where he'd have the same outfit just because it was one less thing to have to spend your time thinking about.
So I have the same costume essentially. All my clothes are the same. I have long sleeve button down shirts and various slack khaki things, right? They're almost all interchangeable. I have no other kinds of shirts. It's literally the only shirt I own is all these, just like this. I usually roll the sleeves. This is it, right? And then some. I don't wear jeans. I just wear slacks of some kind. and that's all it's my entire closet. I have nothing else. And whoever gets me up in the morning, can randomly select top and bottom. They're usually women, so they try and pick ones that make me look good. But any of them would probably work. And yeah, so I zero thought goes into, I picked these ones. And so people are like, oh, what do you want to wear today? I'm like, whatever. I bought it all. Whatever it is I like. So, here we are. But yeah, anyways, but I'm with you is what I was saying. I agree.
There. Look what I did.
I see that. Look at you. You're so smart.
I know, right? It's a little small. It's a little hard to see, but that's my very not so subtle way of showing it. But it's too small here. But
does it get bigger?
I can try to make it bigger, but it's going to be a lower resolution because of
that's all right. No one cares.
So, look at that! Ah!
Whoa!
Oh, now wait, hold on. That doesn't work though because let me. Who needs to see my face? You don't need to see my face.
Just for this moment.
So, you and I have been talking for a while.
Yeah.
And we were looking. The foundation was looking for a national partner in what we do, and what we do isn't just water safety. It's not just I'm just by myself now. That's kind of scary. Hold on.
No. Go ahead. Let him do his thing, and then we'll bring him back later.
Yeah. Okay. So here, I'm going to put that over there. So the foundation doesn't just do water safety, and we don't just do kindness. We do that amalgamation of it. And I had been looking for a long time now, because it was always either or. I could find partners who were interested in, we want to do the water safety stuff with you. And I found partners for that. Or we want to do the kindness stuff with you. And we found partners in that. And I was like, I want someone who wants the whole message, like what we do all together. And so that's kind of what I decided when I reached out to you. I said, hey, you want to sponsor what we do nationally? Everything. Water safety, kindness, the whole deal. And of course, Eric, you said yes. And I'm like, great. And then that night I had this thought. I'm like, it's perfect. Like, how do we show this partnership? And our foundation is Respect Life, and you guys are Lifesaver. And I'm like, I'm sure Eric thought of this. I know he thought of this, like Respect Lifesaver. It's like perfect. And so when I told you the next day, you're like, I never thought of that. And
no, never.
I'm so happy. And then I reached out to my friend Adam, who's done all of our graphic art and my illustrations for the book and everything. And we asked him, could you find a way to kind of do an amalgamation of the two logos to show our partnership? And he did it. And so here we go. So starting this September, when I start speaking at schools, every school I go to now, it will proudly say that we are sponsored by Lifesaver Pool Fences as our national sponsor of all of our programs. So, and I'm excited to do that. And I'm excited to have you guys on board with us to help us get our messages out and, hopefully save some lives and make the world a little bit kinder, because God knows we need it. So,
yeah. What's the point of saving lives if they're not happy to be there?
Right. And if people aren't going to be nice to each other about it. So,
right.
I think that's such a great point. Like making those lives worth saving, that we want to be around those people in the first place. I want to be with those people and be around them. And I'm going to sneak it right over my head. Right there. Perfect. So, so I'm very excited to do that. We are, our website now reflects the fact that you guys are our national sponsor, and our Facebook page and all that's going to have that updated too. And I'm looking forward to it. And I appreciate your guys' support. And we're super excited. And we got some other big stuff coming up, but I don't think we want to give that away yet. So, right.
I was going to say, we have some projects coming. Do you want to discuss it or no?
I mean, we can.
So I think we have two new initiatives that we're going to launch in addition to the sponsorship partnership, so that we're not just throwing money at it, but also there's a couple of things that we're going to try and do together to have some kind of impact, even if it's just making people feel better, which I think is worthwhile in general, right? So one of them is we're going to try and do a a good job of recognizing and supporting and honoring children that have been lost to drowning, and we want to try and do something for their birthday. We want to do a donation in their name, and we want to keep their name alive and well known by sharing it with the community. So right now, Rich's daughter Abby is doing some research work to get the logistics of that worked out, and yeah, the plan is we're going to start sending gifts and donations, and posting things on the internets to keep the kids' names alive. I know, Rich, you said that before. That's important, right? I mean,
yeah, it's there's an old Japanese proverb that states that we die twice.
Right.
So the first time you die is when your physical body obviously passes on, but the second time you die is the last time someone mentions your name. So I think for anyone when it comes to bereavement, that becomes readily clear. But I think when it's a parent especially, and it's your child, that disruption to the natural order of things, which death sucks, but I think we accept it as an inevitability, and we accept the order of things with that. So no one wants to die. No one wants to think of death. But like when a parent dies, I've lost my dad. When a parent dies, yeah, it sucks, but you accept it. Like, okay, it's supposed to happen. And then when you lose a child, it's that order is disrupted, and it just, there's the reconciliation isn't there that you have with every other type of loss.
Right. You would assume that you were going to get to spend your entire life without ever seeing one of your kids die.
Right. And I think every parent makes that, or I think every parent has that optimistic bias that it's going to happen, but we live with this primal fear that it won't. But
by the way, a new thing in this era of history too.
Yes.
Because kids dying was a super common thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's really only the last 150 years.
Right, since antibiotics, right? I mean,
right. Yeah. The advent of antibiotics changed everything, and then modern medicine is just made it to a point where it's not even. It's really unprecedented how quickly it completely reversed, and I think society adapted to this very quickly as far as accepting that kids don't die, but in doing so left behind the parents who do still suffer from this. And because we've gotten so accustomed to this not being the way things are, I think when a parent does lose a child, most people just don't know what to do. And then they try, and I mean, bless their souls, they try to do things to make you feel better. But a lot of times it's like one of the worst things you can say. Like I had people tell me, well, God wanted another angel. Well, that's nice for you to say to me, but how come he didn't want yours?
Right.
Like think about that. And I think a lot of that comes from, again, it's kind of like what we talked about last week, where I'm not going to judge someone for saying that to me. Yes, it does bother me, right? Another thing that bothers me is when people have near misses with their kids and they're thankful, thank God that my child, this didn't happen. God must love me. God was watching out for me, or whatever you believe in. And I sit here going, oh, I guess I'm a jerk. God must hate me because I lost my kid, or I'm a terrible parent. Right? So, top dad. I mean, that's not true. So I think we live in this weird time where people just don't know how to deal with this loss. So one of the things that has become really important to me is recognizing, first of all, in those parents, that the memory of that child is everything. It's all we have. And I think a lot of people, because of this inability to understand it, they want to tiptoe around the loss, and they don't want to, I think people are afraid to remind you that you lost a child. And I always tell parents this: you're not reminding me that I lost my child. Every moment of my life reminds me of that, because that empty chair is always facing me at the dinner table. The missed milestones always pop up. That life that I had imagined for my child is gone. So everything is a reminder of the fact that Reese isn't here. Everything. And anytime I see a kid roughly his age when he died, it brings me, so the reminders are there constantly and always. So what a parent wants is a reminder that their child lived, that they made a difference, that they were here, and that counted and it mattered. And that second death is something I can avoid. I couldn't avoid that first death. By God, I'm going to avoid the second one. And I want his name remembered. And I don't know if I would say most parents, I have to say this, I think most parents who lose a child don't get that opportunity. Most parents who lose a child, it does get pushed back. And I think that societal pressure, which isn't on purpose, kind of makes them just kind of push it away. And then you have those few who do something in their kid's name, and keep that trying to go like we did with the foundation. I mean, obviously Reese's name caught on because of respect, right? I mean, that irony there is pretty. It's something that caught people's attention, which was good for us and what we were trying to do. And I'm thankful that the name resonates and that it's something we can do. But not every parent has that, and so that was important to me. And when Sam and I put the foundation together, one of the things we said right away is we want to have something that can support other families that have been through this and help them navigate these waters that honestly is not a lot of resources for. And I know we're going to have a guest on next week that will kind of address that, especially for the kids. But it was so important that we have a way to honor these kids and their families and not let that second death happen, at least not on our watch. So
no, that's awesome. And I know there's other other people kind of doing a version of what we're talking about. Judah Brown Project does a great job of honoring folks. I know you said you've gotten stuff, but I also know that they've been limited by their budget, and I know they've had to cut back on sending out things to parents. And thankfully, we're fortunate that's not an issue we have.
Right.
So hopefully we can supplement the really tremendous effort that they've already been undertaking. And any support they can lend us would be great.
I want to second that, because I've been on the receiving end of what the Judah Brown Project does.
Yeah,
and we love it, and I know their struggles. I know, and it sucks to know that not having funding is something. Not having funding and not having just the number of kids that are lost every year to drowning.
Well, I think that's part of it. I think their list got so big. That it's how do you when are you gonna leave people off? Like, I mean, it's
weird in my head. It's so weird because in my head, Reese, it'll be 10 years this October 27th, which I really have a hard time wrapping my head.
It's so crazy to me. Yeah.
It really doesn't. I'm like, how is that possible? How and it just blows my mind. But the weird thing is because since I've been involved in water safety, which wasn't right away, was something I've said this many times, reluctantly got involved in. I feel like it's almost like in my head, like, okay, drowning should have stopped, because I'm the type of person, like, when I take something on, I'm like, I'm going to succeed at it. I'm going to do this. I'm going to knock it out of the park, and I'm going to make it happen. And to have been in this and not see really any appreciable change in drowning numbers and statistics, like in my head, I'm like, how can there be more? How can there be more? And
I mean, you feel that way. I've been doing this full time, 40, 50 hours a week, every day with a whole corporation of people, right? There's, 30 people that work here, that we have 100 dealers, 100 people working throughout the country, and all the various dealerships, all literally do every day, putting on a Lifesaver shirt and going out and spreading the word and marketing and selling and putting up barriers around pools. And I mean, a whole organization throughout the U.S. and abroad,
right?
For 35 years, and no impact. I mean, the people drowning at the same rate, like that seems crazy, right? Like, and what are we even freaking doing? Like, Like you ask yourself.
I have to. The scientist in me has to think that, okay, maybe what we're seeing is actually what we're doing is what's maintaining the equilibrium that we see right now, and that without our efforts, it's much worse.
Right, population growth, and it would be skyrocketing. Right, maybe. Who knows?
Right. Yeah. So it's kind of like, how do you measure that? Yes, we're out there. You guys are doing what you do. We do what we do, and all these other organizations that we know of that are doing what they do to get awareness out, and all these
thousands of people around the country are,
And so the question is the just the vast numbers of these organizations doing these things, is it having an impact that maintains an equilibrium that we've just gotten used to? So we're not seeing the other side of it. Like, if it all disappeared, then what happens? Like, that's really the only way you test it, which of course I don't want to do.
Let's try that out. See what happens.
But I think the only other way you can look at it is, well, do we increase the amount of awareness? How do we get to a point where we can add more to what we do, and then see the change from there?
Right.
And that's hard to do scientifically, and from a statistical standpoint. I think it's a very difficult way to look at it. So I think a lot of this has to just be faith, which is weird coming from someone who's a scientist. But I think you just have to have faith that what you're doing is making a difference and will continue to make a difference. And then we keep striving to make a better difference. I know in New York State, we just got some stuff done here. I had been a proponent of having every parent who has a kid in a state hospital has to watch a video on shaken baby syndrome. And I said, well, why don't we have something for water safety? I mean, drowning is more likely to kill their kid than shaken baby syndrome.
By a magnitude of 100, probably.
Right. I mean, it's not even close.
Yeah, or more.
So I don't want to take. And the thing is, I don't want to take away from that, though. I don't want it to be in lieu of.
No, of course, yeah.
And then the question is, okay, so how much? And of course, you'll hear this. How much are we going to make these parents watch and view? And
6 hours.
The answer is, I don't know what the right number is, but I do know if it's the number one thing, they probably should be watching about it.
Right. Yeah.
So we've got something in the works to have a little 6-7 minute video that's being shared with all the parents who give birth to their kids in New York State hospitals. And Samantha and I were honored to have been asked to share our story in it. And hopefully that'll make a difference. I don't know. We're looking at all these things that we hope makes a difference. And it's funny because everything we do is like that hope that it makes a difference. And I want to turn it to the other aspect of what the foundation does, kindness. I would go out and say that if I want to look at as a success story, since we've started what we're doing, would I measure the total amount of kindness in our country, giving it a number? Would I say that number's gotten higher or lower in the last 10 years? I'm going to pretty much say I think it's gotten a lot lower in people's civil discourse with each other. And by that metric, I may look at what I'm doing as being a failure, but then I have to remind myself, look at the other perspective of things. A scientist always has to look at both sides of a problem, right? Not just what the positive effect could be, but what the negative effect could be. And I got to look at the fact that, well, maybe if I wasn't doing this, it'd be even worse. And yeah, I'm just one voice out of many, but I'm hoping that it can. And if I were to stop, then I wouldn't be able to help stem the tide. And when I say tide, I think that's apropos, because I think there's a very specific direction the tide is going, and I want to be that jetty, but we all know that they don't fully stop it. So
the salmon,
right? Yeah. So, but I'm going to keep trying, and the same with drowning prevention. I'm going to keep trying, and if I didn't keep trying, then I'm sure things would be worse. And I guess isn't that life, though? I mean, we're all headed to a destination we know is inevitable. So I could just give up and say, well, what's the point? Or I can say, well, what I can do here matters. And so I think that's what we've chosen to do, right? What we do matters.
I think the only way to accomplish anything important is it's like chopping down a tree, and the only way to chop down a tree is you just keep swinging the axe.
Right.
And even the biggest, widest tree, you keep swinging the axe every day, day after day, hour after hour. Eventually, you chop the tree down.
Yeah.
And the only way to do it is you just got to get up every morning and keep swinging the axe.
And this is what gives me hope is I could start with that axe, and then maybe one day someone can introduce me to the chainsaw.
Right. Yeah.
And therefore, I've found this better way to do it, and this more efficient way to do it. And then I can cut down the entire forest, and then there's other problems, right? So,
but no one's gonna offer, right? No one's gonna offer you the chainsaw if they don't find you there with the axe,
Right. So yeah, so I think that's something that gets so many people to never even get started is the fear of failure, and that's something I've tried to instill in my girls is that failure is not something to be afraid of. Failure is something we learn from. So I'm not a big fan of Thomas Edison, but I love that quote.
Whoa! This is now what the episode is about. Stop everything. You're not a fan of Thomas Edison?
Nope.
Is that surprising to you?
Because he's a thief? Is that the deal?
He was absolutely an intellectual thief.
Okay.
He took the credit for what other people did to a disgusting degree.
All right.
Did he do his own stuff? Yes, but the amount of what he actually accomplished on his own, I think, is up for debate.
He wasted a tremendous amount of resources on DC power too.
Yeah,
I knew that. Yeah.
What he did to, I think that the ultimate story of his character is what he did to Nikolai Tesla.
Right. Well, that's kind of well documented. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's just one, and that was huge. And I
meant to watch that movie about. Did you see the movie?
Which one?
A film came out recently with Benedict Cumberbatch and Tom Holland, I think.
Oh, really?
Or is that Avengers? Either way. But no, I think it might be them too. No, yeah, where I think one of them played Edison, one of them played.
I have to check that out then because I love.
And there was a third scientist in the mix, who's also in there. I think it's called Current Wars. I'm now googling it. Please stand by.
Yeah, because now you've given me something to like want to watch tonight. I'm looking it up too now.
The Current War trailer.
Oh yeah, the Current War. Oh my god, I have to see this now.
Here, well, why not? We'll take a moment. Let me share my screen, Mike.
As soon as you put it up there.
We'll do this together.
Thomas Alva Edison. My boys and I caught in a jar what before now is only flashed across the night sky. The future is here. Hello, I'm George Westinghouse.
Westinghouse?
Tesla.
Oh, Westinghouse, yeah.
Other electrical power in the world. Better than Edison. There's a contest between you.
This is a battle for the brightest minds of America. Today, the impossible becomes possible. The man that controls that current controls the future. I hope you brought your checkbooks.
If you want to be remembered, it's simple. Shoot a president. But if you prefer to have what I call a legacy, you leave the world a better place than you found it.
You are building miracles out of thin air.
I'm working on something so new that the world would never be the same.
If Mr. Edison succeeds, he will set us back so far we may never recover. Sometimes we have to work outside of the rules to get what's right. That is how you truly win.
You get vultures in every venture, but did I mention that his system's lethal? His current kills people. He's playing dirty. You can too.
You can't see the real force that moves things, and it's not AC/DC, it's not currents. It's current.
currency. This is costing us a fortune. Westinghouse stole from me.
My motor. That is our future.
You fired. Never gonna be anything named Tesla ever again.
Our future's not going to be paved with bricks, but with copper.
I have the better system. Westinghouse Electric shall endure.
The city of light.
I built it already in my imagination, and it's perfect.
There is a possibility you'll be putting in jeopardy the lives of 28 million people.
Tonight, things could change.
Should we go for a run?
3, 2, 1. Only one man will rise.
So what's your trade?
Inventor. Fix problems for idiots.
That's a great quote.
There you go. Yeah.
So yeah, I was unaware of that movie even existing, which is weird.
And I was right that it was Cumberbatch and Tom Holland, right? Like that's crazy. Yeah. And Zod.
Yeah, I mean, look at that and the Beast.
And the Beast, right? Yeah, it's the whole Marvel DC cinematic universe is in that film.
Well, because like that's taken over all the film anyhow.
Right.
It's hard to watch a movie now and say, have they been? You know, now it's like, why haven't they been in the MCU? So,
Right. Yeah.
Or DC, I guess. Yeah. I have you watched and or read anything?
It is odd you haven't seen. You weren't aware of that though. That seems
Yeah,
right.
I wasn't.
Yeah.
Have you watched what's the with Theranos, the thing that was on Hulu?
Oh no, I don't watch anything, but I know about it.
So that miniseries that was about Elizabeth Holmes,
right?
One of the quotes in it and one of the ideas behind it is "fake it until you make it." That was originated by Edison.
Oh wow!
Fake it until you make it. So making outrageous claims and then finding a way to back them up. And he was great at that. He was a great salesman. He was a great marketer. I mean, and he was also a manipulator. And Tesla was really the prototypical engineer, scientist, idealist that those type of people can tend to really take advantage of. And it's unfortunate. So my issue with Edison is more of a character issue than it is contribution. Yeah, his contributions are legit. But to me, the character of a person matters, and obviously look at what I do. So that's a really big issue for me. And yeah, going back to the whole point of where I started this, though, I do love his quote. You know, I didn't fail. I just found 10,000 ways that don't work. And that's a great mantra for anybody to have, because that's what failure provides you. It provides you with a pathway. And too many people think that failure means the end of your path. And it doesn't. It means a diversion in your path. It means a new direction. And I don't know. I don't think we tell our kids this enough, that it's okay to fail. And that to me seems to be more of an American thing, by the way, in speaking with kids that I know and people I know from Europe and outside this country. It's a very American thing that you just can't fail. And that's dangerous. And we can fail, and we should. But even one of NASA's unofficial mottos during the Apollo years was "failure is not an option." And I always loved the Mythbusters. Jamie Savage used to always point out that Jamie Savage. I just amalgamated their names. Adam Savage would correct that and said, "No, failure is absolutely an option. It's absolutely an option. It's okay to fail. We got to learn from those failures." So I'm okay failing because I'm going to learn from it. Until I take that last breath and I'm out of the simulation, I'm okay with failing and keep trying to do what I do. So, and I appreciate partners who are willing to do that with me. So, which brings us right back to where we were.
Right. Look at that. So the other big project that we have upcoming is we're going to put on Lifesaver and the Respect Life Foundation is going to co-host a new event. And there's been, just like with the Judah Brown Project, there's been similar things like this before, but we're going to try and, add to any more of a good thing is better than less of it. So we're going to host alongside of our annual Lifesaver Dealer Conference, which is an event we put on once a year where Lifesaver pool fence dealers from around the nation and abroad fly into South Florida for a 2-day bonanza of pool fence greatness. And the dealers get to hang out with each other and swap war stories about pool fences and installing and tips and tricks. And it's rare that you get to talk to somebody else who does this thing that we do. There's a very small number of people who sell, market, and install pool fence, or make it for that matter. It's even a smaller number of people who make it. And there's comfort and insight that can be gained from talking to people who do what you do. So we have the conference. There was recently, I saw a quote from Garry Kasparov, arguably maybe the second best chess player of all time, the longest reigning world champion, I think, ever. And he had an extremely contentious relationship with his main rival, Anatoly Karpov, who he faced several times. And after their world championship games, he would spend time talking with him, going over the game. Why'd you do this, blah, 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 and discussing the moves. And someone asked him afterwards, why do you talk to him after the games? Don't you hate this guy? And he said, yeah, but he's the only one who understands.
Right.
And I think there's value in that. So we have the conference just for that purpose, but we also do a lot of education about the selling, marketing, and installation of pool fence. We have an 8-hour seminar on Friday, and then Saturday we have smaller sessions. But we're going to have a separate event on that Saturday at the same time, where Lifesaver Pool Fence is going to sponsor the travel expenses. I think the flights of any parent who's had a fatal drowning or a non-fatal drowning that resulted in a serious injury. We're gonna pay for them to come down to Florida, and we're gonna buy a conference room to put all the parents in, and Rich is gonna kind of chair the event. And the goal is to give these parents a spot to meet and talk about whatever issues that they think are important. Come up with ideas to help to help water safety, to help drowning prevention, to help each other, to create more support for this community, and whatever else that you guys decide is important. And I want to be as hands off as possible on the content, because I think it's important for you guys to have a forum to do this. And like I said, I know there's other things like this out there, but maybe it doesn't reach as many people as it should. So I think the more of it, the better. So, and then because it's going to happen at the same time as the Lifesaver conference, hopefully these parents get to come out to dinner with the Lifesaver people like you did last time, and everybody gets to hang out and meet each other, and maybe that cross pollination can have benefits for everybody involved too. So I think the more impact or more connections that the Lifesaver dealers have with parents who have lost children can have the same benefit that I've had from meeting you, and vice versa. So I think the more connections we make like that, the better. I think that'd be really cool. So if there was kind of all these, I was gonna say mini relationships, as if theirs would be less important, but if you can have all these other relationships, like ours, throughout the country between dealers and parents, I just think that could be really powerful. So yeah, I don't. You've been batting around some names for this. I like Project Fence is pretty cool.
Project Fence, right? So yeah. Families affecting noticeable change on expectations and drowning.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So maybe we'll come up with something else, but we'll come up with a name for this event.
Right now that is at least a good placeholder.
But it's going to be January 14th, 2023, and we'll put up more information about that soon. But very excited about all this. Couldn't be happier to be doing it with anybody but respect. I wouldn't even do it if you weren't doing it with me. I wouldn't do it, like, honestly.
Well, I'm honored.
So the only reason I'm doing it is because I like doing stuff with you, and it gives me another opportunity to do more stuff with you. So that's very cool. So
Well, and you said something that's important too, because you mentioned these little things, and that's kind of the core of what we've always been about, is the cumulative little things together do make a difference.
Yeah,
and sometimes it's almost impossible to measure it. And I know, God, it's funny. I talk about the fact that failure is good and you're allowed to fail. That doesn't mean you don't end up with doubt. And I certainly have my share of doubts. And then it seems like every time I have those doubts and I express them, I'll have someone remind me of, what we have accomplished. And so when I get upset about where I see how things are going societally, and I say, well, I've made no difference. And all the stuff that I've tried to do to promote kindness and to get kids to be nicer to one another and get people, not just kids, but, anyone. And I get reminders of where it did make a difference. And I think back to, there's a parable that basically every teacher ever has learned. It's called the starfish story, which I think I've shared with you before.
Yeah, it's a silly story, but yeah,
it is silly. And honestly, when I first saw it, the cynic in me kind of was like, "This is stupid. Why am I being shared with this?"
Did I share with you my preferred version of that one?
No. Well, I'll do the original version.
Oh, sorry, yeah, go ahead.
So the original version goes that there's two people walking along a beach and there's all these starfish washed up on the shore. And the one person starts picking up starfish and throwing them back in.
She's usually like a little girl, but yeah.
Right. Yeah. And the one person says, "Well, why are you doing that? You can't possibly make a difference. There's millions of starfish here." And the other person picks up the starfish and says, "See, for this one, and throws it in. I just made a difference."
Yeah, it matters for him.
And so that's supposed to be in a nutshell what teaching is supposed to, do. And I always thought about, wow, I got to think of things as a scientist here, right? Because that's where I'm coming from. And that's great. I can think about that one kid, but I still can't disregard the millions of starfish that I certainly did not make a difference for. And you can honestly say, I didn't make a difference for all those others. So, and that's an equally valid argument. So, and again, a scientist has to look at things that way. So, and believe me, I'm optimistic. When someone shows me okay, you ready? I want to ask you this.
Yeah, I have to go very soon. So just so we're clear.
Okay, so hold on. You ready? Quickly.
Yeah.
If I had a cup and I filled it up to here with water, what would you tell me? How much is it full?
50%.
So it's half. So you're gonna say, is it half full or is it half empty?
I would say it's 50% completed. I don't know.
See, now this is the difference. This is what it means to be a scientist.
Yeah.
If you told me that you filled it with that liquid up to that point and you asked me how full is the cup, I would tell you it's 100% full. And this is why I think like a scientist is important, because you just narrowed your parameters to the water, but you asked me whether it's full or not. It is full
of air, yeah.
Yes,
right, yeah. Because
the remaining volume is filled with air. So it's 100% full, which, by the way, goes to my complete optimism bias, because not only am I telling you it's not half full, it's completely full. So, all right. So what's your version of the starfish story?
Yeah. So she picks up the starfish and throws it in the ocean and says, "It matters to him," and then points at the killer whale who's eating the starfish.
Yeah, but then that mattered to but you helped the killer whale.
Oh, you did? Yeah, I'm saying it's great. I love that. Yeah.
The circle of life.
Circle of life.
I think that's a great way to end. There's always a different way to look at things.
Also, by the way, drowning happens year round, not just in the summer. It also happens in the fall and winter. Lots of people I know, Paul DeMello, you, etc. Oh, it really? Oh, it's not till 11:30? Oh, I'm sorry. I thought my reading was 11. I do have a few more minutes, but yeah. So that too. But we
have a few more minutes. Then let's point that out. So yes, drowning does occur all year round. We lost Reese the end of October in a pond. So it's being vigilant and understanding what drowning entails and getting rid of these notions that it's, it happens to someone else, that it's, if I'm a good parent, I'm attentive, it's going to solve the problem. I think part of the question we had in our excerpt for today is: will backyard cameras, the ubiquitousness of these cameras?
Yeah, I do want to talk about that. I mean, I guess I thought my meeting was 11, but apparently it's 11:30, so I got a few minutes. Yeah, I do wonder if the adoption of outdoor cameras, which is becoming far more prevalent than it's ever been, and the capturing of children drowning in backyard pools, which is inevitably going to happen now, right?
And we've seen it. We've seen the ones shared that are near drownings.
Right. All we've been shown are non-fatal drownings, right? So that was my next question. I wonder if, because of the graphicness of that event, one, will parents be willing to share it, and two, will it even be allowed online? I mean, right? No, you can't show. There's probably a Facebook policy about showing videos of children dying, right? I'm pretty sure that's a thing. It's a little bit worse than porn, I'm guessing. So that seems like a problem. So yeah, I mean, yeah. So maybe it won't make a difference because there's no way to get it out there. But I would imagine that videos of kids falling in pools and not surviving, or maybe that's it. Maybe it's all the videos of kids almost dying.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to have those as well.
There's going to be theoretically more of those.
Here's the thing, Eric. The ones of if the video is out there and it's available, people will find it. A great example, that young man who died on that ride in Orlando was a couple months ago. That drop ride, and the kid fell out of the ride. Now, it was covered on the news, but they showed just the ride going up. But there was bystander video, and the guy literally shared it. And I think this is terrible. Really invasion of the privacy of that family. A guy posted the video on Facebook minutes after this kid falls out of the ride and dies. And it was there for all to see at first. And then, of course, was taken down by Facebook, which rightly they should have done. But the video was available online, and you could find it. If you were looking for it, you could find it, and you could see this kid's last moments. So there will be videos that end up like that, and if people wanted to see it, they could see it. So, and could it be edited? And yes. And could you take out that part? Would I want, if there was video of what happened to Reese? Would I want it shared? I don't think so. I don't know. I honestly would have, for my own benefit, would have wanted to see it just to see, what it was like. Yeah. How did it go down? Was it what I thought? Was it, I don't know. It's a weird place, but they're going to be there. It's going to happen, and there will be ones that are shared. It'll happen regardless, whether there's rules. Yeah. Do I hope it would have a positive impact? I hope so. I think that'll get out and at least help get word around, because it's going to show up. It's a simple fact. More cameras, more likely to happen. Which, by the way, on a completely unrelated note, is why I'm absolutely certain there's no Bigfoot. Because with the increase in the amount of cameras, which is basically exponentially greater than it ever was, I have not seen the commensurate number of Bigfoot videos come out. And if Bigfoot were real, there would be a commensurate number of Bigfoot sightings now that are recorded on film, which there aren't. So there's your proof.
I think there probably was a Bigfoot, Paleopithecus or whatever the name is. Is that right?
Yeah, it's something like that. Yeah.
But yeah, it's been extinct for a long time.
Sorry, skeptic.
Yeah.
And now I have, it's hard to prove a negative, but sometimes you can if you've got enough data to back up the, can I prove it? No. But can I create a very solid theory?
But what has gone up with the creation of, or the worldwide adoption of people carrying cameras is UFO sightings.
Yeah. Well, keep in mind, I point this out to people all the time who say this. UFO stands for unidentified flying object.
Which we have all the time.
Right. It's unidentified. I don't know what it is. It doesn't mean it's aliens, but it is unidentified.
Yeah. Don't they have a new name for UFOs?
Yeah, I don't know. They change stuff like that all the time.
Almost on purpose, I think, to be obtuse.
Yeah.
But now I think it's like, there's an A in it, like, aviation. Yeah, there's a new name for UFO. I forget what it is now,
but it still doesn't change the fact what it is.
Yeah, it's like, yeah,
we can identify.
Yeah.
So, of course, yeah. All right. So now we have to find out what it is.
Look it up. Yeah. UAP.
Unidentified aerial phenomenon.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah. Same idea. Yeah.
That's like DUI versus DWI versus venereal disease versus STD.
STD versus STI. Yeah. Exactly.
Right. And now it's STD. Right. So
whatever it is, don't touch my penis. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's a sex disease. It's things that are flying that we can't identify. It's driving while intoxicated or driving after you've drank too much. Or I was finding this interesting. Just a little note that New York State does not have any laws on it. Now we have legalized marijuana, but we have no laws on the book for driving under the influence of marijuana. Go figure. So I can get pulled over if I was drinking and get thrown into jail. But if you're high on marijuana and you get pulled over, apparently there's no real legal way to identify that you're impaired, chemically. So they can't test for it. So go figure.
Yeah. Well, probably.
I guess it takes time for the laws to catch up, but it's going to take time for I think for what we do to catch up and to see those significant stats change. So
if I had to pick whether you were driving me around and you were drunk or had smoked weed, I think I'd prefer that you'd smoked weed.
Oh yeah. Oh, without question.
Yeah.
It doesn't nearly have the. It doesn't. It's really apples and oranges when it talks to what it's doing physiologically to you. So yeah. and the impairment level as far as operating the machinery, but you're still impaired. So.
Still impaired. Yep.
But.
All right. Well, I think we did a good job today.
Yeah, we covered a lot of stuff. So, and it was all good stuff.
Did you call it a potpourri?
Yeah, potpourri.
Is that like a school thing?
Well, it actually used to be a Jeopardy category.
Ah, okay.
So, speaking of Jeopardy, I will not be available today for Jeopardy. If you guys were playing, I'm going to Topgolf.
That's cool.
Yeah, I'm excited. We got a new Topgolf here, but I shouldn't say new. It's probably been here for like 3 years now, but we've never gone. I've been to one once in my life, and it was fun. So now we're all going, and
we did it last
time, but I just haven't had the time.
We did it last year at the dealer conference.
Oh, that's cool.
We did it on Saturday evening. Yeah. So I think we'll probably do it again. It was cool.
All right. So that gives something for people who join us to come to.
Yeah, you'll get to come, hit a golf ball around. Do you know why I do well in golf?
Why?
Because I have a big handicap. Yeah.
Oh, I think we have to end on that.
Yeah. There you go. Fantastic.
That was perfect.
Appreciate that. All right.
All right. So next week we do have a guest, right?
Next week we have a guest. Yeah, we have the folks from Tomorrow's Rainbow, Jennifer Gomez, Esquire, and her partner in crime, whose name I believe is Abby. They'll be joining us to talk about their organization, which focuses on providing support for children who have lost someone. That's kind of the big thing they do, especially siblings, which I know you said is an underserved population.
Totally.
Immensely. And I know you have some siblings that you care for who have lost a child, or lost somebody. So yeah, I think that's going to be cool.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to it.
Me too. And Jen's a good friend of mine. In fact, I wrote a whole blog speculating whether she was a friend or a good friend. She's confirmed she's a good friend of mine.
Yeah, I saw she definitely confirmed good friend status.
Yeah, I texted her. I was like, obviously, I only felt comfortable making that joke for the entire blog because I know that we're good friends. Yeah, I've known Jen for over 20 years. She's a fantastic human. Really, really just a top-notch person. And
I'm looking forward to meeting her next week.
Yeah, great. So yeah, it should be good. And I think her or Abby are going to talk at the January 14th event that we're doing.
Awesome. Well, then I look forward to that too.
So they'll participate. Yeah, they're great.
Awesome.
All right.
Well, I guess same time next week.
Same bat time, same bat channel. We will see you next Tuesday. Oh, I hate saying that. You will see us next Tuesday at whatever time we start, 10 a.m. And yeah, it'll be fabulous.
Awesome.
Say your watches.
All right. Bye, everybody. See you next week.
All right. With you.